On a cold January morning in southeast Michigan, a young mother left home for what seemed like an ordinary day. There were errands to run, messages to answer, children to come home to. Nothing about the morning, at first glance, seemed like it should become the beginning of a mystery. But by the next day, her family knew something was wrong. Her phone was not behaving the way it usually did. Her messages felt strange. Her routine had broken in a way that people close to her could feel, even before they had the words to explain it. Soon, police in Warren and Roseville would be looking for a missing woman. Her family would be searching neighborhoods, calling for help, and trying to piece together the final known hours of someone deeply loved. And in the center of the case, investigators would focus on an apartment complex, a car found away from home, digital records, and evidence they believed pointed to violence. This is the story of Ashley Lashay Elkins. Welcome back. Tonight, we are looking at the disappearance and alleged murder of Ashley Elkins, a 30-year-old mother of two and hairstylist from Warren, Michigan. This episode is written for calm nighttime listening. There will be no graphic detail. We will move slowly through the timeline, the people involved, the investigation, and the unanswered questions that remain. Because this case is still moving through the courts, we will be careful with language. Prosecutors have alleged that Ashley was killed by her former boyfriend, Deandre Booker, at his apartment in Roseville, Michigan. Booker has been charged with first-degree premeditated murder and other offenses, but he has not been convicted, and under the law, he is presumed innocent unless proven guilty. Ashley Lashay Elkins was 30 years old when she disappeared in January of 2025. She lived in Warren, Michigan, a city in Macomb County just north of Detroit. Warren is the kind of place where residential streets, small businesses, shopping centers, and family routines sit close together. People drive from one suburb to another for work, errands, appointments, and visits. In Ashley's case, those familiar everyday movements would later become part of a much larger investigation. Ashley was a mother of two sons. She was also described in public reporting as a hairstylist, someone whose work involved care, trust, and conversation. Hair salons, even home salons, can become places where people open up. Clients come in for a service, but they often leave with more than a new style. They leave with connection. For Ashley's family, she was not a headline. She was a daughter, a mother, a sister, a relative, and a presence in the lives of her children. The man later charged in connection with her alleged murder was Deandre Booker, also reported as Deandre or Deandre in some outlets. He was Ashley's former boyfriend and lived in Roseville, Michigan, not far from Warren. The relationship between Ashley and Booker had ended, but according to family statements reported early in the investigation, there had been concerning contact shortly before Ashley disappeared. On December 31st, 2024, just a few days before she vanished, Booker allegedly booked an appointment at Ashley's home salon using a different name. According to family members quoted by local reporting, he came to the home, knocked, and left after Ashley realized who it was. It is the kind of detail that becomes heavier only later. At the time, it may have been frightening or unsettling. But after Ashley disappeared, it became part of the wider picture investigators and family members were trying to understand. Thursday, January 2nd, 2025, began like many ordinary days. Ashley was last seen leaving her Warren home that morning. Local reporting placed the time at around 8:30 a.m. She was believed to be running errands. Her family later said one of her last messages was to her sister, saying she was heading back from the beauty store. That detail matters because it sounds so normal. A beauty store. A message to family. A young mother moving through a weekday morning. But then the pattern changed. Family members became concerned when Ashley did not return and communication with her seemed unusual. Public reporting described odd or sporadic messages on the day she disappeared. Her phone activity also became part of the concern. By January 3rd, Ashley was reported missing. Investigators later focused on Roseville, where Booker lived. Prosecutors would allege that Ashley went to Booker's apartment on January 2nd and that he killed her there before disposing of her body. Ashley's car was found on January 7th, a few miles from Booker's apartment. Her body has never been found. That absence is one of the most painful parts of the case. For investigators, a missing body means a different kind of case, one built from timelines, digital evidence, surveillance footage, physical traces, witness statements, and forensic testing. For a family, it means grief without the full answers that most people need in order to begin mourning. The investigation moved quickly in the first week of January. On January 8, 2025, Booker was taken into custody in Flint and was initially charged with lying to police during a violent crime investigation. Authorities searched his Roseville apartment. According to later reporting and court testimony, investigators found evidence they believed showed Ashley had been the victim of violence inside the residence. People reported that police said items recovered from Booker's home indicated Ashley met a crime of violence there. The case also included digital evidence. Local reporting described Google searches that investigators attributed to Booker, including searches related to being on the run, deleting search history, whether blood is traceable, and what happens to trash after pickup. Some reported searches were deeply alarming, and prosecutors later used them as part of the broader argument that the evidence supported moving the case forward. Investigators also looked at trash collection routes. According to CBS Detroit, police connected a trash bin at the Hampton Court Apartments to GPS information from garbage trucks serving the area. That information led them to Pine Tree Acres landfill in Lenox Township. Officers searched the landfill for days in mid-January, but the search did not recover Ashley's body. A landfill search is slow, careful, and emotionally difficult. It is also a sign of how seriously investigators were treating the possibility that crucial evidence had been moved through ordinary disposal systems. Later, during preliminary examination proceedings in August 2025, more evidence was discussed in court. Local 4 reported that an officer testified about items found in the bathtub drain of Booker's apartment, including hair, an earring, and a suspected bullet fragment. The officer also said he could not personally say whether the hair or earring were linked to Ashley because his role was collecting the evidence before it went to a lab. Fox 2 later reported that prosecutors said Ashley's DNA and blood were found in the bathtub area, and that the case involved circumstantial evidence with no body, no eyewitnesses, and no murder weapon reported. On January 31, 2025, Booker was arraigned on charges including first-degree premeditated murder, tampering with evidence, disinterment or mutilation of a dead body, and concealing the death of an individual. Then, on January 7, 2026, the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office announced that Booker had been bound over for trial on all charges. The court found sufficient evidence for the case to proceed, following a preliminary examination held across multiple dates in August 2025. Ashley's case is not unresolved in the sense that no one has been charged. A suspect has been charged, and prosecutors have laid out their theories. But it remains unresolved in 3 important ways. First, Ashley has not been found. For her family, that means there is still no final homecoming, no complete answer to where she is, no peaceful place, at least not yet, where loved ones can gather with certainty. Second, the criminal case is still pending. A charge is not a conviction. Prosecutors have made allegations. The defense will have the chance to challenge the evidence. The court process must continue before any legal conclusion can be reached. Third, the case still carries unanswered questions about the final hours of Ashley's life. What exactly happened after she left home? What did she believe she was walking into? How much was planned? What evidence will a jury eventually hear, and how will it be weighed? Those questions are not just legal questions. They are human ones. The story of Ashley Elkins is not only a story about evidence, charges, or court dates. It is the story of a woman whose normal day never came back around. A mother who left home in January. A family who noticed the silence. Children who were left waiting for answers. And a community that watched as a missing person search became something heavier. The public record gives us pieces. A timeline, an apartment, a car, a landfill search, court testimony, digital records, and charges filed in Macomb County. But behind every piece of evidence is the same central absence. Ashley. Her name is the reason the case matters. Not the fear, not the speculation, not the darkest allegations. Ashley Lashay Elkins. A mother, a daughter, a loved one. A person whose life cannot be reduced to the way it may have ended. As the case moves forward, the legal process will decide what can be proven in court. But for the people who loved Ashley, the hope remains quieter and more personal. To find her, to bring her home, and to let the truth, however difficult, finally settle into the light. Thank you for listening with care tonight. If you follow true crime, remember that every case belongs first to the people who lived it. Families carry these stories long after the headlines fade. May Ashley's loved ones receive answers. May her children be surrounded by support. And may the search for truth continue with patience, dignity, and compassion. Sleep well and take gentle care.